screw the job market. I just give myself a job instead. Even at times when I don't believe in myself, I tell myself, no, I have people who rely on me. I have like 5 other guys who work for me, and if I say I'm done, they're done. When my dad was in the hospital in the ICU, the nurses had to physically pry his phone from his hands because he was more concerned about his employees than his own health. And he kept his word, right? Until his quite literally dying breath. He had people relied on him and he didn't have the option to stop. And for me, it's like, you know what? I don't have the option to stop right now and I'm not going to stop. I don't want to stop because no matter how many people say, don't do it, screw you, I'm going to do it. Because I can. No one's stopping me from making a visual novel where you date humans but you're a goose instead. This is the first game we made, by the way. A dating simulator where you're a goose. And a very annoying and rude one at that. Artists can draw whatever they please and like, one can stop them, they can draw it. And the fact that they can do it is what motivates them and that keeps them going.
Hi, welcome to Creative Odyssey Podcast. My name is Sharan and today we are recording at Hatchworks in Sri Lanka. It's a startup hub where creativity and technology go hand in hand. I have a really cool guest here who kind of started over here and has an amazing story on what he does. So, Haritha, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for being having me.
Absolutely. So real quick, let's start with who Haritha is.
So, Haritha. He's okay. I'm going to refer to myself in the third person very often because for some reason that tends to work for me. I don't know why.
Let's go for it.
I was born to a family of engineers.
Okay.
Religion engineers. Like dad civil, my mom production.
Wow.
And since as long as I can remember, we've been surrounded with stuff being built.
Wow.
So when we were small, instead of having like normal toys, I can vaguely remember us playing with acrojacks from my dad's construction site, and my mom being like, "Hey, put it down." But my dad's like, "It's okay, it's cool."
Tell me what acrojack is.
So if I might be mislabeling, but it's one of those jacks you use to actually connect two steel GI pipes.
Yeah.
So when you have scaffoldings, you have like one pipe, and you connect them with an acrojack.
I had no idea that was a...
So they're hella expensive now, but back then they were really cheap. Back in the early 2000s at least. But my earliest memories were playing with those, and I think growing up, we had a very unique playground where most kids would play with in a small sandbox or their backyard, but no, we had massive piles of sand at my dad's construction site and massive piles of stones that were going to be used in concrete, right? So I think for me at least, growing up, knowing that stuff could be built if you just thought about it and sat down and just got to work. Because with my dad, I remember him waking up in the morning, going downstairs to his office with his morning tea and just opening up AutoCAD and just designing.
No way.
Right? And a couple months later, I would vaguely remember, I saw a piece of paper on his desk that had this particular design, and it's a lot bigger than I thought it was. So for me, being surrounded with engineering, it's been very obvious, you think about something, you build it. It's quite literally that. So when I got old enough to start considering what paths I wanted to go down, I got into tech initially, computer science, and I started university back in 2018. And back then, we were being promised the moon, the stars, and the whole universe saying, you can get into game dev. But when it came time for graduation, it was like, where jobs? Right? So, at the time, just right before the pandemic hit, I got my first internship working at Motion Miracles. Really fun studio. And I mean, it was a really great environment to be at because it was run by startup founder. He was, I think, 21, 23 at the time, so fairly young. So that kind of put me in front of, so many other developers who were like me, who were promised them sun, the moon, and the stars, saying you can get into the games industry, but there were practically no jobs. So every day coming into the studio was like, okay, so we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do things. And my biggest exposure in the games industry was when I was put on a brand new team they were building called the publishing team. So we had to reach out to mobile game publishers, figure out how the industry works, what ideas would work in the market, and I think throughout my 1 year at Motion Miracles, we ended up publishing like close to like 20-25 games, I think, with the department, and we ended up working with some of the largest publishers in the world. Supersonic was a team we had to deal with. They a couple of years back, got bought by Unity, one of the largest game tech companies in the world now. But early on, I got the opportunity to work with some of the coolest people in the country, and tech-wise, I think that made me realize, okay, you know what? Screw the job market. I just give myself a job instead.
Wow.
So I think after graduating, I've more or less been working freelance, basically creating my own job. It's like one of those, fine, I'll do it myself movements. So now, over the past 4 months actually, the studio has gone from like a he, him to a they, them.
Wow.
Where I was the only developer taking projects, working on stuff. In March of this year, and then come April, one of my clients was like, hey, we've been working for the past year together, how about we get more people on board? And then obviously like that, you know, getting paid fairly decently as a freelancer, and then I was like, but then my freelance paycheck wasn't enough to, like, facilitate a team.
Right.
And this particular client was like, you know, don't worry about it, Habibi. Let me help you out here. And then we ended up changing the contract and whatnot. And his contract ended up becoming a situation where he'd fund a team of like 3 developers for an year, so up until December. So that project is going fairly well. And then with that, it kind of inspired me to say, you know what, I can go broke. I'm 24. I can afford to go back.
24?
Yes.
No way. Okay.
Like I told myself I can afford to go bankrupt. I can still I can still make that money back. It's like, YOLO, why not? Let's just get more people on. So the one person who was there in March has now become a team of 6 now. So we have 4 developers, 2 artists, and we are thriving because yesterday actually I got off a call with an investor, and we have secured one of the first round of funding for one of our games. Wow. Obviously, it's not enough to cover the whole development, but it's enough for us to fund the game without having to worry about cash at all whatsoever for the next year or so.
That's so
and
cool.
Then that can be turned around with to getting more people on board, and I think.
Congratulations! That's amazing.
I still have to pinch myself every once in a while to be like, so 5-6 months ago I could not have imagined this being possible at all.
We're so excited to share with you all of the episodes that we filmed in Sri Lanka. We know a lot of you have been waiting, but we wanted to make sure that we did this really meaningfully because it really was an exciting time. When Sharon first came to me and said he was going to take the podcast to Sri Lanka, I honestly thought he was crazy.
And so did I. I was like, is there any possibility we can fit this in? I want to try to bring the podcast there and get to know people and interview creatives. So
we expected to have just a few conversations, maybe a little sparks of inspiration here and there, but what happened was so much deeper than that. We met so many people that not only you got to interview, but that also came alongside us to help make these conversations happen.
The crazy thing was this daring idea of going to a country, even though I'm from Sri Lanka. I hadn't been back for 7 years. And all I knew was some people from school that I went to and some on social media that I've been following, but didn't really have concrete plan to make it happen. And some days we had 6-7 episodes back to back recorded because people were waiting and you were kind of facilitating that.
Yeah, so it felt really significant because not only was it that we were having like these raw and authentic conversations, but a lot of their stories resonated with Sharon's. And so it just was really fascinating to see them speaking the same language and to see like just this commonality of creativity and identity and purpose coming out as the themes of these conversations.
You must be wondering when this trip happened. It happened in September, and the goal was to get these episodes out by December or last year. Well, a lot of things happened, and I didn't want to diminish the work we put in, and again, the amazing guests that we've had. So we decided to do something really cool, and we're going to post however many we can a week.
So linked in every single episode, you'll find a free PDF. It's actually a magazine that we developed. You can kind of think of it like if you go to a concert and you get like the souvenir of what happened behind the scenes and just about the different artists and all those things. We wanted to share with you not only about Sharon's journey, but then help you connect with some of the guests that we interview in Sri Lanka, and then invite you on your own creative odyssey.
Yes, there's so much more that goes into or that fuels this podcast, which is this mission to inspire people to create so that they can get to know themselves and connect with their inner child. So to see that we could bring that story out of Sri Lankan creatives, a wide, diverse range of creatives, was definitely a highlight.
Our hope is that whether you're living in the States, you're living in Sri Lanka, or somewhere else around the world, you'll connect with someone's story within Sri Lanka, and it might inspire you to continue on your own creative odyssey.
The link to the PDF of the magazine is in the description, and please check it out. They're doing really cool things that I really think you should be checking out to see their journeys. So without further ado, let's get to the episode. Wow, so you haven't had a chance to process all of this
No,
either?
it's been like one event after another. So like we showed off our game at Comic Con a couple of weeks back,
Okay.
and we are showing up at Disrupt Asia like this week.
That's so cool.
And again, we are showing up again at Comic Expo in December. And on top of that, it's like on top of like managing the projects, managing the team, hiring staff, doing all the boring paperwork that comes to the company. Like I've not had time to sit down and process what's happening, and I don't think I want to, because the moment I do, knowing who I am, I'm going to overthink it. So it's like, it's okay. We don't need time to think.
Yeah.
Just go on autopilot, because it works so far. And you know what? If something happens, we'll figure out what to do at that point.
I can hear the panic in your voice.
Oh yeah. Like honestly, I just haven't thought about it.
Wow.
And so yeah, I think in my position, like for me, I've been incredibly lucky to be around the people I've been with, because a lot of my developers, they are from the university I studied at, IIT. So shout out to IIT if anyone is there. I mean IIT, Informatics Institute.
Very cool.
But yeah.
So, you talked about like connecting with the right people and talk me through that process. You mentioned your first job and...
So, it is actually a very interesting situation, because in Sri Lanka it's like our government at least, we don't really have the culture that supports game dev, right? Saying this, when I told my parents, hey, mom, dad, I want to get into game dev. They're like, at least I'm getting a computer science degree, so even if it doesn't work out, you can get into software. I was like, I'm not getting into software, I'm sorry.
Wow.
But really, it's about reaching out to people, because like I can't give a exact blueprint as to like how you meet people. It just happens, right? If you go fishing, you're going to meet other fishermen. It's just that like once you start walking down the path of a game developer, saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and so long as you don't turn back, like you will meet people who share the same vision or the same goals you do. And I think one large issue with the country here, again, not to rag on the country, I love my country, not the government, but it's just that people are going to hate on you no matter what you do. You do software, people are like, they take white people's money, build stuff. Or if you get into music, he wants to be a starving artist, right? Starve, that's fine. As long as you get to do what you want and you aren't risking your livelihood, go for it. Because at the end of the day, people are gonna talk behind your back no matter what. Gonna happen. So at that point, like, if people can talk behind your back, let them, like, really, they're the ones left talking when you're ahead, like, they're ahead of you, when you're ahead of them. So that's quite literally why they talk behind your back, because they're funny. Right? So
It's so funny. I didn't think about it. It's so stupid. It's so simple. I think it's also like not just Sri Lanka. I mean, even in living in America too, you get that
Yeah.
too. And I think it's like you said, surrounding yourself with the right people. Right? Not everybody can understand a visionary person, a creative person, because we are considered the misfits, right, of society or whatever, and that needs to change. Like, you have to think of it like we are actually the visionaries. We're the ones who want to solve problems and build things, and the other ones, all they want to do is follow the same system.
I mean, at some point, people called Steve Jobs a hipster yuppie. I mean, like, if being a hipster yuppie can let you create the company that is like that's the one of the only words towards only $1 trillion companies. Like, you know what? I'm glad to be that hipster yuppie.
Right. So, in that case, have you ever thought about like changing the narrative of how people see creatives like yourself?
That is an interesting question because I've just found that, like, if you ignore the people who don't care about you, care for you, you end up finding the right people, and that automatically and when you have the right people, like, it will start off with one person, but then the one person becomes two, then two becomes four, and like at some point, people who don't believe in you end up becoming the minority. So really, it's just like ignoring everyone else.
Take the time to allow people to take the time to get to know you.
Like, it's as long as you believe in yourself. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, right? But if you want to take a shot on yourself, I mean, no one else will.
Are you somebody who always believed in yourself?
At times, no, but then I also remember I put myself in a position where if I don't believe in myself, my staff, my team is not going to have a job the next day. So it's like, you know what? It's like, even at times when I don't believe in myself, I tell myself, no. I have people who rely on me. I have like 5 other guys who work for me, and if I say I'm done, they're done. That's 5 people who like sync with me, and I'm not going to try to sync with me. My dad, for example, civil engineering, big field, but even then, like, he had 10 or so main contractors, but under them, they had like 20, 30 people, right? So when my dad eventually passed away in 2021, right?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. But when he passed away, those contractors end up losing projects that could have helped them go on, like, help them feed their families, right? So for me, it's like, you can hate your job as much as you want. You might doubt yourself as much as you want. But when you have other people on the boat with you, you don't have the option of saying no. And that is one thing that I think a lot of people tend to ignore when they say, I'm going to be a startup founder. They don't realize how much responsibility comes with.
Right.
And it is terrifying. There are nights I just like be staring and missing, like, so I'm in a very, very deep hole. So either they can keep mining till you get gold, or you let people know so that they can get off early before they sync with you, right? But you have like a certain amount of responsibility to people, and I think Ban Harishchandra, I believe, I saw a podcast that he did quite some time ago, where he said that he wants to put himself in positions where he can't turn back. And same goes for my dad, because like when you do a construction project and a client pays you 15 million out of the 30 as opposed to out of the 40 to 50 that it costs to build the project, you've taken a 15 mil. You are in no position to say, oh, I can't do this anymore. It's either like you do it, or you get sued until you have no pants.
Right.
Right? So really, it's just like getting on the horse and staying on the horse as long as possible to make sure either you can get the other people on with you off, where you can safely fall and get hurt or whatever it is you can do. But again, it's how to put it. I think I don't know how to convey my point here, but
It's okay. So let's say you had no employees. Let's say nobody's relying on you, and you were there before. What is the passion that drives you?
honestly, it's the fact that I can do whatever I please. Right? When it comes to like what working by yourself, it's like you have nobody telling you what to do, and no stakes. You have absolutely nothing driving you, right? So the fact that there is absolutely nothing stopping you, and there's absolutely nothing for forcing you to start, is what like kind of makes me get super excited about this, because it's like no one's stopping me from making a visual novel where you date humans but you're a goose instead. This is the first game we made, by the way. A dating simulator where you're a goose, and a very annoying and rude one at that. But the fact is, there's no one stopping you from doing things, right? So it's like, you know what? If you want to be annoying, as annoying as it can be, do it. I mean, nothing's stopping you, and that's the beauty behind it, right? The fact that you have such infinite possibilities. It's as long as your hands can do something, let the hands do that.
So as a game developer, the storyline is really important.
Yes.
Is this something you are good at, that naturally, or something you had to learn to be good at?
Okay, so here's a tricky question. Here's a tricky thing about it, right? There is not a single thing in the world that defines something as good or bad, and is in terms of narrative. I consider Twilight movies to be pretty bad. I did not like Twilight, but it's one of the largest fandoms out there. A lot of people don't like My Little Pony, but one of the largest fandoms out there, right? So no one can tell you what is good or bad. If you make something and there's another person who likes it, it's good to them. And if it's good to you, it's good. So again, dating simulator where you play as a goose. It didn't gain too much traction. That's fine. I thought it was good. I had fun making it. I got the opportunity to work with some of my friends who were in Aussie. And I got to connect with them, right? And for me, that's what made it good.
Collaboration.
And just the fact that I enjoyed making it. And in general, like when you have a creator who is, just passionate about their work, you will find people who will just follow them just for that passion. The Odyssey, for example, is considered one of the cornerstones of modern storytelling, right? We had a creator recently who made Epic the Musical that retold the Odyssey as in a musical format. Some people are going to call it like, oh, that's just stuff that theater kids are like. Let the theater kids like it. It is as each saga released, each saga kept topping the Apple charts, right? People liked it, and people are going to say, oh, there are certain things they don't like about it. They made on it. It's good. It's good to the people it matters to, right? And when something matters a lot, it becomes good in the general sense. Romeo and Juliet, really weird story.
Yeah.
I mean, the Juliet was 14, Romeo's 18. You look at them and be like, But we're trying to reenact something that Minecraft YouTubers do. We don't want to do that.
Right.
But it was so popular back in the day that has become a cornerstone of modern literature, right? So good is subjective, bad is subjective. As long as you have someone who likes it, and it's good to them, it's like, you know what? That's just how it works.
So how do people figure out what they're passionate about, in your opinion?
Honestly, see, it's some people always I like drawing, but how do you know you like drawing? Because I drew. And how do you know if I don't like drawing? How do you know you don't like drawing? Because you drew. So for you to find out what you're passionate about, you have to do things. I mean, which is what annoys me, because people are afraid to explore things. If you're passionate about, I don't know, the different varieties of grapes.
Why are people afraid to try things?
Other people's opinions. Which is where I keep telling people, ignore everybody else, just do it. Like what? It doesn't matter if you're the only person who is really passionate about a very particular variety of green grape. Be passionate about it.
But that's a hard thing to do in a culture like this, right?
I mean, it's at that point I just ignore everyone. People are going to talk behind your back. They're the reason they're behind you.
That's true. So just forget about all of them.
Because so many people look at me and be like, oh, you make, when they say I make games, oh, you play games all day. Sure. Tell yourself that. At the end of the day, I have a studio with people I get to work, I get to wake up with, hop on the morning meetings, check with guys, how are you guys doing, and have fun while working. Like you look at most people who are in that, like who are doing a career, they hate their jobs.
Yes.
It's like, why do you hate it? Just do what you want to do. Like when they say it's like, oh, it's the money. Think about how much money do you really need? Because I mean, I take basically no pay at this point, but it's fine. At least I don't hate myself when I work, and I'd rather be broke and be able to do what I want than to I hate every living second of my work.
Yeah. So what's the end goal for Haritha?
So that's actually an interesting question here, right? Because
I know you're only 24 years old, and it's a big
24.
question to ask, but like, what's the goal?
like for me, apart from game dev, I have so many other passions because I love education and I love civil engineering and the environment, which is why I started the second bachelor's recently, right, in
Okay.
civil engineering. My ultimate goal
Wait,
there.
what? While you're doing all of this, you started
Yeah, I
second
mean-
bachelor's.
Yes, I can. Because like again, as I mentioned, right, there's no one stopping me. If I can go to a university, hand them a check that says, here's my semester's my fee for this semester. Hey, they got paid.
Right.
I just want to show up and pass my exams. And that's the beauty of it. Like you, as a human, can do whatever you please.
Are you telling me that you have zero limiting beliefs?
I mean, I believe in myself, right? And as long as I believe in myself, that I
So you have none. You have
None.
no.
I mean, like literally, it's like
You've never had limiting beliefs.
I mean, there have been times, right?
How did you overcome those to come to this point?
Something okay. Again, this is where like my dad comes in because he has been a big motivating factor for me. Because he was a kid in Kalutara, and he came up in the world by becoming a civil engineer, and under him he had like not directly, but he had close to like 100 people working under him at some point, bringing in a lot of cash and having people essentially feed their families and take care of themselves, right? If a random kid from Kalutara could do it, nothing's stopping me. Nothing is stopping me, and if there's anything stopping me, it'll be myself. And then I look around and be like, shush, they're doing this. Whether you like it or not, it's happening. And really, it's just telling yourself like, it's not over until you die. I mean, again, morbid fact, but when my dad was in the hospital in the ICU, the nurses had to physically pry his phone from his hands because he was more concerned about his employees than his own health. Because he had to, like, before he passed, he had to be put in the medical illness coma. But until that point, he was taking phone calls, talking to clients, telling people, don't worry about your jobs, even though I'm in the hospital, you're going to be taken care of. And he kept his word, right? Until his quite literally dying breath. He had people relied on him and he didn't have the option to stop. And for me, it's like, you know what? I don't have the option to stop right now and I'm not going to stop. And I don't want to stop because no one's telling, no matter how many people say, don't do it. Screw you. I'm going to do it. Because I can.
Is burnout even a thought in your life?
Burnout is a thought, and I think after one particular job, I'm not going to mention them because like cool situation, but I was burnt out for months where I considered leaving the games industry and actually going to web dev, and like full stack, because that was another area I was like really interested in. But then it was that particular Goose Game, Goose Game that reminded me, no.
I love it. That's amazing.
Like, no, I can do this. No one can stop me. It's like artists can do whatever they please and like one can stop them, they can draw it. And the fact that they can do it is what motivates them and that keeps them going. Right? So again, it's just like I can do whatever I want as long as I put my mind to it. People will say, oh, there are opportunities in the country. Yes, there are. You just aren't looking hard enough. If there are opportunities, make your opportunities. I didn't have a job. I gave myself a title, got myself clients, got myself a team. If there's some, again, which circles back to like my original philosophy, you can make whatever you please. Just do it.
Man, for a 24-year-old, you're like you sound like you're at peace.
Low key, yeah.
Low key, no?
I mean, I would be a little troubled if I died today because I know, I didn't get to finish the game. So I'd be a little bit pissed about that and probably come back down from heaven. Oh well, I mean, like,
Yeah, wherever you go.
Wherever I go, I want to come back and finish what
It's a game. Thankfully, you finished the goose dating game. That's cool.
It was wild. 19-year-old Haritha. No, 20-year-old Haritha was a very interesting person.
Yeah. How much have you changed since then?
I think my mentality shifted a lot from focusing on myself and focusing on others, where I can be a massive perfectionist. So fun fact with Comic Con, right? The build we were showcasing, we were working on that build. Me and my 2 other developers, we were working on it until 4 a.m. in the morning, on the day off, and it's one of the situations where I am very hard on myself, and sometimes people will be like, "No, it's good. It's good. You're just not being you're being too hard on yourself." And yeah.
Do you think that's sustainable? That kind of thinking, being hard on yourself.
If I'm not hard on myself, then no one else is gonna be. And if I'm not if I'm hard on myself,
Is it a hard on yourself in a positive way or hard on yourself in a negative way?
both actually, because sometimes I know okay, I don't like how that feature was implemented. Let's go back and work and let's refine it further before take it to the meeting with the client, so they'd be happy, I'd be happy. But then also it's there's again Comic Con, for example, certain times where I shouldn't be keeping people up till 4 a.m. in the morning on the day off, right? So it's both good and bad, and when it's good, everyone will applaud. But when it's bad, you need someone to smack you upside the head, be like, no, that's good enough. So again, that's where that's why you need your people. And again, it's about building a support system.
Haritha, man, you've been a breath of fresh air for sure, and one of the most smartest 24-year-olds I've met, at least.
Well, you should talk to my sister.
I did actually.
She is so much smarter than I am.
In the sense that how you have come into a mental space where you have a lot of freedom to create and that kind of thing. That in itself is remarkable. It took me until I was 30 years old to get to that point. So I'm just been blown away by the people I've been interviewing. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep going on your own creative odyssey. Till next time, see you later.